Good morning. Happy Easter. I'm standing here in historic Roswell Cemetery, and it sounds like a strange place to begin an Easter sermon because today is a day of new life and new beginning, new opportunities. It's Easter Sunday. But you see, this is where Easter, the story of Easter really begins. Jesus was crucified by the Romans, and they were experts at delivering death to their victims. And Jesus was taken from the cross, and he was placed in a tomb, in a cemetery, placed sort of like this. It was a dark and dismal day. The disciples lost all hope. Mary grieved as the mother of Jesus, and it seemed like a death grip just got a hold of the world. We feel that struggle. We live in a culture of death. Society glorifies death. Many, in fact, just exist for the moment, fearing that the reaper will come any moment. In fact, this year, 8,000 babies will be killed by abortion. The headlines constantly scream, crisis, tragedy, war, terrorism. Hollywood has even picked up on it. They have exploited the subject of death and darkness with vampires and zombies. We know it's fictitious, but it just speaks of a world that is on the edge of disaster. This year, 30,000 Americans will commit suicide. That's more than those that will be killed in car accidents in our nation. Poverty is astounding. 15% of the population, 16 million children. Thousands live with addiction, depression, hopelessness. And perhaps you're here today and you're living with this weight of problems and crisis in your life, and maybe you feel like giving up. That's what Mary Magdalene felt when she came to the tomb of Jesus. She felt brokenhearted and wounded, and she probably felt like giving up. But she was in for the biggest surprise of her life. In fact, I want to read to you the story of Mary Magdalene, and it starts in John chapter 20, verse 11. Now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw two angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the foot. They asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" "They have taken my Lord away," she said, "and I don't know where they have put him." At this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. He asked her, "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it that you're looking for?" Thinking he was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will get him." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned toward him and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the news, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her. This is such an exciting day. We see all the signs of spring, the beauty of new life all around us. And Jesus came to bring to us new life. Jesus came to a world reeling under the weight of sin and death, to bring hope. I imagine that after the crucifixion, Satan gathered all of his demons for a big party in the chamber of darkness. Satan thought he had won. The world shook under the weight of that moment. But on the third day, something happened. Jesus rose from the dead. He shook off death. He defeated evil, and he brings us comfort, joy, and eternal life. His presence is here this morning, just as he was there with Mary Magdalene that first Easter morning. He is here to speak to you. Jesus is really alive.